Hello and welcome to Girls That Gossip, the podcast where we chat about what's hot and what's not right now so you don't have to. I'm Josh Reid and with me today I have...
Busayo, all you're doing.
Molly Woodward.
And Amelia, Tyson.
Welcome to the podcast. How are we?
I'm good.
I'm so excited.
I'm excited.
I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about it. I feel like there were so many different contributors who were so interested and I just can't wait to get involved.
I can't wait for it as well.
Yeah, well, this week we are talking about the NCS Youth Rising podcast, which describes itself as a podcast for young people, by young people, more specifically Season 2, Episode 3, How to Be a Better Ally to the Disabled Community. We hear from journalist Lucy Edwards, Makaton vlogger Isabella Evans and BAFTA award-winning actor Tim Renko, all speaking about their experiences of being in the disabled community. So let's start it off. What do we think? Is it hot or not? Or
I think it was hot.
Definitely hot.
I think
Definitely
it was
hot.
I think it was definitely hot. Yeah,
I didn't even have a moment where I thought no, because from the start it was so like quick and I was engaged from the get-go. Like
I think the
so
pace
good.
of it definitely helped with like keeping interest in the topic.
Yeah.
I think if it was a bit slower and the presenter was doing the interviews, it would have definitely dragged a bit more.
Like they said, it's made by young people for young people, like and for Gen Z, which we are. So I feel like straight away we're like, this is for us.
Yeah,
because they know what sort of like things that we want to hear about and like how to keep us engaged. So I think that was really...
Yeah, and I think as well, like, a lot of the time now, like, lots of people say we're used to, like, short-form content, so them going really quick, even though it was, like, 20 to 30 minutes long, I was engaged throughout the whole thing.
I know, same.
And adding on to that, I feel like the editing was really good. So, like, the fact that they cut between different archive footage and they were able to hear, like, different people speak at different times, like, it was really good to, like, keep that consistency with engagement.
Yeah, well, that leads me perfectly on to my first clip. It is from the start of the podcast. We hear definitely a montage of different archival news footage just to help set the scene of the podcast.
So we are ready for the big event of the night as far as Great Britain's concerned, certainly as far as Ellie Simmons is concerned. She goes in lane 4.
5, 6, 7.
Actor Rose Aileen Ellis has started Strictly Come Dancing. She's the first deaf contestant to take part in the show.
I've interviewed authors, chefs, just people
Prime
in the public eye.
Minister,
The Prime Minister, Jeremy Corbyn. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I can't do my job the same as everyone else if I don't have equal access to it.
I'm blind and I'm on the way to Harley Street to get my eyebrows microbladed.
It's surely another goal, a great goal for Ellie Simmons.
So that was my clip. I really enjoyed that little start. It helps to set the scene quite a lot. It creates like a nice little sensory image in the listener's mind. I don't know about you guys.
I really
agree,
liked all the different mixes. I thought it was quite cool.
And I like how the sound effects and like even the cheering from like addition like football or something. Straight away I'm like, oh my god, this is so exciting. And I'm like, I want to listen to the whole thing straight away.
Yeah, it definitely brings an upbeat vibe to the podcast.
And like you said, I was just like envisioning it in my brain the whole time. I was like, each little sound effects in my brain, it was like a firework. Like there was a firework going off every second.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's perfect. So, Busayo.
Yeah, so the next clip we have is a piece from the podcast about a girl who has a slogan called Blind Not Broken. So we're going to play for that for you right now.
Blind Not Broken for me is the true way that I prove to people that I have full self-acceptance of myself. You know, at the start of my sight loss journey, I did believe that I was broken. I believed that I was the thing that needed to be fixed in this very sighted world, when actually when I shifted my thinking to the social model of disability and I said to myself, no, actually the world around me needs to fix up and I am not the thing that needs to be fixed. I'm amazing, I'm not broken, and here's my mobility aids and here's my guide dog and this is me. So if you don't like it, then you have to get in the bin. So that's that really, that's my hashtag.
Yeah, get in the bin. I totally agree. I love that. To finish off then, I have 2 more questions. To start with, I'd love to know, what is one thing you wish people knew about living with a disability?
I think that we can just have such fulfilling lives. You know, if someone was to ask me,
Yeah, I feel like it was really good to get in the bin exactly. Like, if people are not going to respect you and respect, like, all you come with, then they should just get in the bin for real.
Yeah. Was it a hashtag, did she say?
Yeah, the hashtag
I really
Blind
like
Not
how
Broken.
they brought in the social media, because it gives people to it means that the audience can go find them after and still keep engaged with
and it's such a simple slogan that anyone can remember, you know. You think of that straight and you think, I think that makes sense, and like that's something you can tell other people as well. Definitely. No matter the age as well.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I've seen a lot of Lucy's content on TikTok.
Yeah, me too.
She's quite like prominent, and I love her content. I just think it's helped.
No, it definitely gives somewhere for the audience to go after.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes onto like my For You page, because that's when I always see her, she's doing really well. I see it and I think everything she's saying, and I learn so much from every video. So I feel like you hear this small clip of her interview and what she's saying in this, but you can go straight over to her social media, and she's got so many examples when she's been out and about and things like that you can just see and kind of see how she experiences life as someone in the disabled community. And you can see it visually as well from her social media.
It definitely gives you like the platform to like go and like explore it more in depth. I think.
That's what we need, the call to action. And I think at the end of the podcast it explains where we can find her on social media. So if you don't know if you're not familiar with her content already, then you can go and listen to the podcast and
I think that's a really nice part of the podcast.
Yeah, me too.
Well, thank you for that, Busayo. Molly, your clip?
So again, my clip is from the first interview with Lucy Edwards, and I think this clip was really important because it reveals the challenges and experiences affecting the disabled community. And as an individual, we might feel quite educated on the community, but hearing it directly from Lucy, I learnt so much, and I'd love you to hear the clip because I found this one really helpful.
I wanted to know from you, I've seen a lot of stuff online about the general public, sometimes unintentionally, but distracting a guide dog, thinking they can go and stroke it like a normal dog you'd pet. Has this ever happened to you, and how would you want people to interact with you and your dog in public?
Love that question. I think ultimately it's just, not to stroke her, because if you distract Molly from her route, she's obviously going to find that objective that I talked about. You know, they go from curb to curb to curb. So if they're not looking at the next curb and she gets distracted on the route, if she stops, I'm like, oh, we've obviously stopped at the curb early. But actually it could be someone distracting her, and I've probably counted that curb wrong then to get to the next curb. And then I'm like, oh, well, where actually are we? So if you distract a working dog, you know, our kind of route planning is out the window, and then that becomes really scary as the blind person because I can't then navigate to my full potential.
Yeah, so I think hearing from individuals like Lucy, it highlights how sometimes we can act ignorantly without intending to.
Yes, I think it was a great thing to have in the interview.
Yeah.
Because it meant the audience can learn on the side of what they can do as well as learn about the disability.
And I thought as well, when she was talking about her dog Molly, I feel like sometimes you see a cute dog and you're like, oh my gosh, straight away I want to go stroke it, and you don't think how much it could affect her. She could be going the complete wrong way from that point onwards. And I think people see it as, oh, that's a cute dog, I want to go stroke it, but also you've really got to think about it. And I feel like if you didn't hear this from Lucy, maybe you wouldn't be as aware of what would happen if you did distract the dog.
Yes, I was about to say
I didn't know that it would completely throw them off track.
Yeah, I was going to say, I knew not to mess with
of
not
course.
mess with them, but
not go
distract
when
them,
it's working.
but not for the reasons why.
No, me neither.
How it would affect the person who's blind and needs the dog. So,
I didn't know that either. I really enjoyed that clip. So
yeah. Perfect tool for that. Thank you. Now, Amelia, final clip.
So my clip is from the first interview again with Lucy Edwards, and it's when she's talking about the journey of blindness, and I'm also going to touch on the structure of the podcast during and after the interview. So let's give it a listen.
So it is a journey. There's going to be loss, grief, trauma within your sight loss journey. I ultimately think, you know, no matter who you are or what you're going through, even if you don't have a disability or if you do, we can all relate to each other in that, you know, life isn't simple and we're all different and our differences should be celebrated. And I think it's just about telling yourself every single day, maybe 3 points about yourself that you love about yourself, and maybe you don't believe them at the beginning, but eventually if you keep telling yourself things enough, I think truly then you will start to believe. That's what happened for me anyway.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to me today. That is all the questions I have. You've been a pleasure, and I think your advice is absolutely brilliant. So yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lottie, for having me. You're such a fab presenter, and thank you so much.
The Youth Rising Podcast
by NCS.
our contributing editors, Halim and Paige, got together to discuss Paige's experience with autism.
So about this interview, I just wanted to touch base on how, like, the interview ended. I really liked how it was the interviewer ending the whole interview and not the presenter, like, saying, like, concluding it all. And I also liked how the presenter, like, moved it on and didn't discuss the previous interview. I felt like it made it go a lot quicker throughout the podcast.
And having the different segments.
Yes, I thought it was so much easier having the presenter just do the introduction to the next bit instead of concluding and introducing.
It feels nice. Very, it's like very, words out. Very reminiscent of like BBC Radio 4 where you have, or like just general TV where you have like the continuity announcer saying that was this is that. I felt it definitely like helps to.
And I feel like you hear that sort of the kind of structure and the segments they have in the podcast. You know they would carry on that with each episode, so you know what you're expecting when you're listening to it.
100%. I thought it was a really nice way to do it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, well, the perfect way to close that off. Thank you for that, Amelia. So, what do we think of the podcast? Was it a hot or not, Busayo?
Yeah, I definitely think it was a hot. I feel like the way they allowed the interviewees, to speak freely and to speak without interruption was really good. I liked the editing and I liked the different segments, as we said in the podcast episode today. The fact that we spoke about Blind Not Broken and just different things. So, yeah, I definitely think it was a hot.
Perfect. Molly?
Definitely hot. And I just want to add this in. I found out, so firstly, it's very inclusive because of the nature and the topic of the conversation, but I also found out the podcast provides captions for accessibility.
Yes, at the end.
Saw that.
So I think overall, they've got everything. I'm obsessed with this podcast and I will continue to listen to this afterwards.
Yeah.
So definitely hot from me.
It was a defo hot from me as well. I feel like we're really on a positive note.
Yeah, look at us go.
I know. It was a hot from me. Again, like you said with the subtitles, I think it was like catered to learning for everybody, which I really enjoyed. And I think it's definitely something you can go back to. And it's also something you can go forward to with the Instagram and the social media. So I think, it was a hot from me.
What about you, Josh? What are you saying?
I definitely agree with the education. It was somehow like educational and entertaining at the
same
time. There was a nice like balance with that, so I definitely agree with saying it's hot.
And adding on to the fact that you could go back into it, it's like a piece of like timeless footage. Like the disability like community is something that we'll always be talking about for now and forevermore because it affects so many different people. So that's another thing that makes it hot.
Yeah,
well, that's
all rounder, really, isn't it?
Perfect. 4 hots all round. Thank you very much. That was the Girls That Gossip podcast, NCS Youth Rising. You can listen to that now on all good podcast providers. But in the meantime, I've been Josh Reid.
I've been Busayo. All you're doing.
I've been Molly Woodward.
I've been Amelia Tyson.
And join us next time while we interview another brilliant podcast. Thank you.
Woo!
Bye.